Hi, everybody. It's January 23rd, 2025, and this is the weekly Backdrop Dev meeting. We get together every week to talk about Backdrop CMS core and priorities for development. My name is Nate Lampton. I'm Quick Sketch on the internet, calling in from Oakland, California. I'm the technical lead and core committer for the Backdrop project. Got a handful of folks here and we'll go around the room and do some introductions. Why don't you kick us off, Olaf, and then we'll go to Luke.
I'm Olaf from Hamburg in Germany. I'm a backdrop site builder. I'm also part of the PMC, the Project Management Committee of Backdrop. And yeah, let's have some fun.
Great, Luke, and then Eli.
All right, I am Luke McCormick, coming to you from Martinez, California, which is near San Francisco and near Oakland. I can be reached as Cell Ear on various platforms, and I am a business analyst and documenter and occasional developer and things like that.
Great, and Eli, would you round us off?
Good morning. My name is Eli Lissick. I'm a developer. I'm calling from San Diego, California.
Great. All right, Californians representing this call. Great. Well, I think since last week, I don't think that we had yet published the Backdrop 1.30 blog post, but that is maybe we had, but it's now out and published. So you can read about all of the great new things in Backdrop 1.30 that came out last week at backdropcms.org/news. It's a great release. We're pretty excited about the release of Backdrop 1.30. And now that it's been a week, the bug reports have started to come in around 1.30. So we'll talk about those a little bit. But first, the contrib update. Let's see here. We had 3 new contrib projects this past week. If I can find it here. Here we go. We have Bedrock, which is a new theme. I'm always excited to see new themes being released in the contrib space. So I have not looked at it yet, but exciting to have that come out. A alpha pagination module. I'm guessing that's related to views. And the venerable and fan favorite module, the Konami code module, is ported to Backdrop. So you can now do the Konami code on your website and then something will happen. That's the up, down, left, right. Maybe, I think it's BA, select start. I'm not quite sure how you do select start, maybe tab enter. So Luke, you look like you've never heard of the Konami code before, but surely.
I think I'm generation gapped here.
Oh, well. And basically every Konami Nintendo game, if you enter that on this title screen, it would give you like 99 lives or yeah, so it was like the classic cheat code for a whole slew of games. And so since been ported to other platforms such as Backdrop, so that you can do that on your website and something will happen.
Awesome.
I don't know, you're gonna have to check out the project to learn more. Okay, so Backdrop 1.30, and sorry, I still am recovering from the flu, so I apologize for the coughs on the recording. Do my best to mute when that happens, but so Backdrop 1.30, we have some issues that have cropped up. The first one I'm going to talk about is issue 6830, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can show everybody what we're talking about. Okay. So, this is a great report. Thank you very much to Prashant here, who filed this issue. Oh, this is their first issue. Should make extra note of that to be very friendly to this person. Thank you for filing this issue. Because no longer install Backdrop on MySQL 5.5. He can install it, but it's not installing smoothly, which is an issue. And the crux of the problem is, we believe, the simplified array syntax that we used for settings.php might be causing the problem here. That this is now the way that the database connection string is specified in settings.php. And the problem we found is that if your database system doesn't support emojis, like this person's database is not configured to, then you get this error. And so we changed the defaults to make it so that we now assume, well, not necessarily assume, but if no value is provided, then we default to assuming that UTF-8 MB4, that character set, which is the character set that allows emojis, we default to setting it as that value. We have some checking in the installer code that is supposed to detect if the database system doesn't support emojis, and if it doesn't, then it uses the old UTF-8 character set. So this is where that's supposed to happen. Set the character set to UTF-8 if UTF-8 MB4 is not supported. This conditional, though, isn't working. So that's what we're pretty sure is the source of the problem here. And if we can get this fixed, then it will help people that are running these older versions of MySQL where UTF-8 MB4 is not turned on by default. Other people have said in here, really the kind of better solutions would be to enable UTF-8 MB4 on your server, because MySQL 5.5 is capable of supporting emojis, but it's not on this particular server. And I'm not sure if this person doesn't have the ability to turn on UTF-8 MB4, but even if they could, this is a regression. Like, this wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to continue to be able to support non-emoji databases, but our conditional check failed. So we're working on resolving this issue, and it seems like progress is being made. But the big problem for everybody here is that nobody has a copy of MySQL 5.5, because apparently MySQL 5.5 is not supported by Docker, which means that people can't run it inside of DDEV or Lando. So it's making testing difficult. So we're kind of dependent upon this one person to confirm that the issue is actually being fixed. So thank you, Prashant, for your patience, and thank you for filing the issue. We want to get this fixed. It's just being a little bit difficult for us to test, but we'll get through it. Next up.
Wait, hold on. What version of MySQL is it 5.5 that we need to look at?
Yes, MySQL 5.5.
I have a warehouse full of ancient machines running ancient versions of things, so I bet I have that around.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if you have the time and opportunity to install Backdrop 1.30 on it just fresh, and just see if you get the same problem where it won't install because of this issue. And if you get the problem, then hooray! We'd have another person that can actually test this situation.
Yeah, I'll dig into the museum of obsolete equipment that I have around here and try that.
So likewise, we also ran into another edge case here in the upgrade to Backdrop 1.30, and has to do with the new supplemental CSS selectors that we added to Basis to make it so that we can make updates to Basis without breaking existing sites. And kind of one of those ironies, our attempt to make it so that we did not break existing sites actually causes an issue for existing sites. But it's again kind of an unusual situation. So this happens when a site is using a Basis subtheme, but the Basis theme itself is disabled. And then you run update.php on an existing website. The value in the update hook doesn't actually get set. And then when you visit your website, you get these version compare notices passing null into this value. This also only occurs on PHP 8.2 and higher. So because previously passing null into version compare didn't throw a warning. So it's kind of a big stack of things there that needs to all add up for this problem to occur, but it does happen. And so IndigoZilla is working on fixing this problem, as is Jen, to fix the update hook. So small problems, but not insurmountable. Yeah, go ahead, Olaf.
Yeah, one question. Is it only a warning, or and can you continue the update, or are there bigger problems with updating then?
Yeah, it's the steps to reproduce aren't perfectly clear here. This actually happens after the update has been run when you visit any page on the website.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Because it's in Basis preprocessed page, which runs on every single page. So
okay, so but if you then enable Basis, does it go away?
No, it
On a
doesn't.
site that is not yet fixed?
No, you need to have Basis enabled before you run the update hook, and that's kind of the issue. So what the update hook is trying to do is it makes the Basis config file. So first it checks to see if Basis is turned on, and then it opens up the Basis settings config file. And this is the first time that Basis has got a settings file. And so then it writes the values to the Basis config file. So since the Basis theme is turned off, it doesn't make the config file. And then now your sub-theme is throwing the warnings. Well, the sub-theme's use of the base theme is throwing the warnings because Basis thinks that this config file should exist because its code is running. But this is kind of the weird quirk about sub-themes, is that even though the base theme is turned off, it's actually still on. It's still getting executed because the base theme being enabled also runs the code, or sorry, the sub-theme being enabled runs the code from its base themes. And so that was just something we hadn't quite thought about. One thing that might work here that I don't think has been proposed is that theme get setting is a funny function in the way that it works. That theme get setting has to check the sub-theme and then it checks the base theme to see if the setting is set in either location. But it also checks it first in the config of the sub-theme and then the info file of the sub-theme, and then in the config of the base theme, and then in the info file of the sub-theme. So one weird solution that we could do here is if we specified the CSS update version, CSS update value in the info file of Basis, it would always exist, and at least you would avoid this. You would avoid this notice because that way it would always have a value. But it is a little bit confusing that now the setting would exist in both the .info file and in the config file if both were present. But at least that would avoid us needing to have a Basis settings file when the basis theme itself isn't turned on. I don't know. I mean, alternatively, the subtheme could also specify this value in its .info file, and that would also solve the problem. That would probably be better because then the subtheme gets to set that value to whatever it wants. But again, like our objective here is to make it so that existing sites don't break in any way. So this is like we should solve it in core, even if the person could solve it, the developer could solve it better by making a change on their end. We should be fixing it on our end too, to make it so that this doesn't show up in the first place. So we might try that approach, or what this is doing is removing this update hook. And then sometimes when we have an update hook that doesn't work right, we do this where we remove the update hook and then we write a replacement one. And then we basically, try again. So that's what this is doing. Well, those are the two regressions that are still open. I did also close one just before this meeting today. Just other, always small little things, which is great that it's not big things, it's just little things. But the links, the new links that were added in update.php to like skip a backup or to cancel the backup step, when used on a site that has multiple languages, the language prefix gets tacked onto there, and it results in a 404 page. So Indigo Zala fixed this with a pull request that just changes the way these links are built to make it so that these language prefixes don't get in there, because update.php is not localized and it doesn't need that language prefix. Just as an aside, this is has to do with localization of update.php. If I pull up the code of update.php, there's something that's kind of bothered me for a while, because we did quite a bit of modification to update.php when we added the backup system in 130. But looking at the text inside of update.php, you'll see for the most part, it's totally not localized. There's no T calls in here. It's just all in English. And I'm kind of, oh, well, okay. See, now I'm finding there are some T's, or, but this is a new code. So that might be just some inconsistency. Oh no, here's the access denied page, which does have T. It's a kind of a mess. But this can be a little bit tricky, because update.php for the most part does have a working backdrop website, but sometimes it doesn't. Like when you're upgrading from Drupal 7, for example, the database and systems are in kind of a just barely working state at that point. And so calling T is kind of dangerous on this page. And I think that's why some pages, like the landing page, don't have any T calls, because it's not, the backdrop site isn't guaranteed to really be in a working state. So when I was working on the restore.php file, the restore.php file is a new file that allows you to take a database backup and a config backup and then restore it back to your site if something were to go wrong. And I'm not sure that this is correct in here, but restore.php also cannot depend on a working backdrop site. In fact, restore.php works with an entirely empty database. So you could restore a site from nothing. You could drop the whole database and then use restore.php to put the database back in place. So backdrop is really this script is intended to be used with backdrop in a totally broken state. So T again is not going to work here. But what does work here is ST. And ST is a funny function that ST is what we use inside of install.php all over the place. And what ST does is it doesn't depend on the database for translation. Instead, it looks in the files directory and looks for the original PO file that contains the translated strings, and then it pulls the translations directly out of that PO file. So kind of where I'm going with all of this is this question here about how should we be treating localization inside of these, is backdrop fully functioning scripts like update.php and restore.php? Olaf, it'd be great to just hear your perspective, being so heavily involved with our localization efforts. Where you even rate the value of having these pages be localized.
Yes, sure. Because some people might not be very good in English, but have to update the site. So it would be useful if they could see the page in their language. And from a technical standpoint, so I can't say very much to it, but the ST function sounds nice. But I have a question. Does it use or normally I download or upload a PO file to get my translations. Does it use that PO file, or does it use a modified PO file with also updated language strings, which I translated in the UI?
Yeah, I do. So it's really the limitation of the ST function is that it will only read from one exact PO file in the files directory. And I think that is called backdrop.po. Well, I think it might have the language string in it too. So, when you first install Backdrop and you now select the language, it automatically downloads that PO file and puts it into your files directory. So that PO file that is originally downloaded when you run the installer is left in the files directory, and that's what the ST function reads. So the thing about it is that I think after the install, I think it gets left there, but I'm not certain like what happens to that PO file after installation. But I do think that it never gets updated again. It just gets left there in the files directory. And so that means that in order for ST to work, that PO file needs to be there, and probably it needs to be up to date. Because if we ever change this string, the PO file will never get updated, so it will never be translated. And so then you'll end up with a mix, like some strings are translated and some strings are still English. And I would find that rather annoying as a as a native speaker of another language to have English dropping in all over the place.
It depends if you speak English quite well, so it's more confusing to get a mixed result. But if you don't speak it so well, it's better than nothing. And would it be possible to provide a special PO file just only for those files? Let's say install PHP, restore PHP, update PHP.
I think so. That's not the way that it works right now, I don't think. So let's just look at what the ST function is actually doing here. So it checks to see if lang code is set in the query string or in the install state, but I'm pretty sure that comes from the query string. and then it finds translation files. And let's see what that does. So apparently that is configurable. If you wanted to put your translation somewhere else, you could, but it defaults, oh, it's not just in the files directory root like I thought it was. There's a directory called translations. And then it scans to see if there are any files that contain the string install, Drupal, backdrop, or backdrop CMS. And then it looks like it reads it in. So I'm guessing, we could change this list too, but basically it finds the translations directory and looks like it just pulls in all of them. So then once it has all of the PO files, it reads them into memory and makes it so that those PO files now get used when ST is called. So yeah, it's a file system based translation instead of a database driven one. So it's not very memory efficient or performance efficient because it's literally reading in every string from every PO file in that entire directory. So it's not something that we would do for a normal page request, but for these utility pages, like that don't have a lot of other things going on, it's probably fine. So this could just be an interesting development. Like I think that it's totally feasible for us to localize restore.php, update.php. Install.php is already localized using this approach. But what we would probably want to do is build some kind of mechanism for updating the PO files that exist in those directories when new releases come out. I'm not quite sure what that would look like. Maybe install.php is automatically downloading PO files. We could potentially make update.php do the same thing.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah, now that I'm even saying that, I'm just realizing the value that would have just anyway, right? Like, wouldn't that be nice if, updating to new versions of Backdrop also automatically updated your strings? I mean, that would be great, except that the strings usually aren't translated yet at the time that you run update.php, but that could change in the future, and
But
yeah.
that's also we have to be careful because you can also translate strings in the UI, and you don't want to override them usually. So in the UI, there's a setting when you import a file, you can decide between just override everything or just only take new strings. And I think if it happens automatically, we don't want to override anything.
Yeah, that would be the safe choice would be if we're automatically updating it, only bring in new strings.
Yeah.
Don't ever override the ones that are already there. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just a chain of thought about update.php and restore.php that came out of this issue that, hey, some localization is happening on these links that shouldn't be. Just got me thinking about like, well, shouldn't we be doing something about localization on these pages at all? Like because the amount of effort that we've done on localizing this is really pretty minimal. But I think that it's possible to do. And so, yeah, it could be nice to get those kinds of improvements. Okay, let's see. So that was just a little aside about update.php. So just generally, so these two regressions in 1.30.1, I think there's a couple others as well that we'll work on resolving. Um, that points signs to us very likely having a follow-up release Backtop 1.30.1 in the very near future. So usually that's a 2-week period between release, and then we find the regressions, if any, and then we make another release a couple weeks later. So that'd probably be at the end of next week or the beginning of February. So that is likely to occur for this cycle. Yeah, so that's kind of the topics that I had for today. Are there other ideas or things that anyone here would like to discuss?
Maybe.
Yeah, go for it, Olaf.
So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I saw, I think also sort of a regression or a sort of in between issue, which is for the new simplified login pages. And with a certain combination of settings, you get quite unexpected result. Let me see. I've posted in Zulip, so and I have to reread it. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. As you know, in the site information, you can set how or from which source the logo is chosen. Take the logo from the theme, take the logo and uploaded logo, and so on. And if you choose their upload logo, everything is fine. It's also fine if you choose path to custom logo, but if you wait a minute, and if you choose the setting, choose the logo from the active theme, you get a problem with the simplified login pages, because if you tick there the option to use the administration theme, you get the backdrop logo and not the logo of your theme. Is it understandable what I?
Yeah, that does make sense. Sorry, I was coughing on mute again. Yeah, so I've got both the Zulip here and I've got. Okay, so I'm logged in, and yeah, I just saw the user login, looks great. Okay, so this is the new simplified login page, which looks very nice. And this uses the 7 theme. So if I go over to site information, is that right?
Yeah, system site information.
Okay, and then this option, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this which theme do we have now?
This
as
is
front end theme.
Basis.
Basis. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a logo? Do you know it?
Oh, no.
Okay. I can share my screen if you want. So, and if it's possible.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've prepared. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Do you see something?
Yep.
Okay. So that's a backdrop site with a chassis theme. And when I log in, I see the backdrop logo. So that's the problem. And why does it happen? So I go back because normally this is my logo here. This with the Japanese signs. Now I go to the back end. And I have here the logo settings. I use the logos applied by the active theme. And the problem is the active theme is this one. the
Mhm.
administration theme.
Mhm.
So technically, this is it makes sense because the login pages use the admin theme, and so logically also the logo of the admin theme is used. But as a user, I don't want it. And there's a workaround. I can here, wait a minute. Here. I can instead mention the path of the
Mhm.
logo,
Mhm.
and I save that and refresh. Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe I have to clear the cache.
Mhm.
Page notes. There it is.
Yep.
So that's the
Interesting.
expected result. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's not what people want, but I don't. But technically, it makes sense. So and I don't know how we should handle that. Or would be also interested in feedback if you think, well, that's how it works, or if you think it should be changed or documented
Yeah,
somehow.
this is so funny because it's like you're saying, it's technically correct, but it's not what you want.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm not quite sure what the right answer is for this one. Um, there's a lot of stuff that is happening for those simplified login pages, and we could just start doing more stuff, more assumptions like, oh, well, for the simplified login pages, even if you're using the admin theme, pull the logo from the front end theme and override it. Like we could do that. But it's very strange that like I could actually see this being feature, right? That it's like, well, you could have a custom admin theme and you do want that logo to be something else. Um, Another kind of strange solution um, could be that the admin theme very rarely ever shows its logo. At least out of the box, like we don't intend Seven to ever show that logo. And it's a little bit strange. I'm not quite sure why it's even there. Like, what's the purpose of that logo if we've never shown it before anywhere until now, right? So another strange solution could be we remove the logo from the 7 theme, and or just don't specify it as like being the logo. And then at least you'd end up with the better behavior of the site name being shown
Yeah.
and not a logo, which might be okay. Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is here.
Yeah, so I think we need an issue to discuss it.
Yeah, it actually
And
even if it didn't say if it didn't have the word mark underneath it, if it was just the backdrop logo, even that would look better, right? Because that would be kind of okay. But it's a little bit strange here with the with the full word mark with the word backdrop underneath it. Like that's just not a good logo choice for this particular situation. Also, I think that you and we had discussed the size of the logo previously, and
yeah,
now watching you present it, because I advocated for the bigger logo and you were saying the smaller logo. I kind of am like, well, at least for square logos and that backdrop one in particular, I was like, that's way too big.
yeah,
Maybe if we could get some CSS on there, because right now that's kind of the issue is that it's just fixed size. But if we get some CSS on there that makes it wider for horizontal logos. I'm not sure if this is possible, and smaller for vertical and square logos. That would be nice. But when we first were adding the login page, we were like, just get it done. So now here we are. Time to deal with the consequences of our actions.
Then also, Herb pointed out that for new sites, it's the default setting, the problematic one. So there's enabled the simplified login page and also the admin theme. So, and I think that's but urgent. It's maybe too strong, but yeah, people will run into it and don't find the reason why it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
But that only occurs if, I mean, this isn't that unusual, but it seems from what you're saying, it seems to only occur if your front end theme provides a logo. Then for some reason, the front end theme providing a logo makes the back end theme also show its logo. And that's a strange thing because Basis out of the box doesn't provide a logo. And that's why it doesn't show up with Basis. But if another custom theme does provide a default logo, and most custom themes do that because that's a lot easier than specifying the path, then it starts showing up. That's also just a strange behavior. So that's also why I was thinking maybe removing the admin theme or the logo from 7 might be an appropriate fix, because really that setting should be like, if the admin theme has a logo, show the logo. It shouldn't be if the front end theme has a logo, then show the admin theme's logo. That doesn't make any sense. And so if we just remove the logo from the admin theme and then change the condition, I'll just be, if the admin theme has a logo, then show it. I think that would be a pretty good compromise.
Yes.
But that would make it so that, yeah, by default, your site's logo usually probably wouldn't show on the login page unless you did that trick, that workaround to specify the path.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's also improvement for the description text. And also, as you said several times, the configuration page site information is, however, a bit problematic, and yeah, so we can maybe improve the text there, but long term, maybe it gets changed, however, in a more drastic way. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you for your feedback.
yeah, that's great. If you would convert that to an issue so that we can track it better, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do it
Okay.
tomorrow. So
Okay, no pressure.
mhm.
All right, well, we've got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any closing thoughts or questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap up for today. Thank you, Olaf, Luke, and Eli for joining us today. And thank you everybody out there that watches these videos. Always appreciate it. I saw RG Piano is commenting from the sidelines in Tulip. And yeah, we'll continue working on these 1.30.1 issues and work towards making another release in the next 10 days or so. And yeah, still really pleased with Backdrop 1.30. No major issues. These kind of combinations of strange situations, I don't feel too bad about overlooking, and we'll get them sorted out. So we're working towards that. So until then, yeah, we'll work away, and we'll meet again next week and see everybody on the 30th of January. So thank you, everybody.